a little bit embarrassing I have to make this video, but I feel like I have to, explain for some of you guys. Alright, so, welcome to another video. And in this video, we're going to be going over the R's of film franchises.
Yes, sir, the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, not those R's. We're going to be talking about remakes, reboots, readaptations, requels, and then there's sequels. Now, I wanted to make this video because even though I don't think there was any particularly recently, every time a new movie is announced that's like part of another franchise, I guess you could say like Ghostbusters or like the new Mean Girls movie that just came out, everyone's like, oh great, here we go, we're remaking stuff again. And it's like, well, where's the original ideas? That's the constant buzz I see online. People are also feeling the same way about Beetlejuice 2. I guess that's the most recent one that hasn't come out yet. But I really like remakes, readaptations, reboots. I like all of them because they give me more of what I love, and sometimes they can show it to me in a new light, and I think that's great. So I'm gonna go through all of them, explain what they are, because there's a lot of confusion about what's what apparently with people who aren't so involved in the film community. So hopefully it can clarify some stuff and maybe re-educate the people who get furious about everything. So the first R I would like to talk about is readaptations. Now I am going off of a script, so I'm going to look down a lot. I'm not rehearsed. All right. So readaptations, right? They can be good, especially to get more accurate and faithful adaptations of stories, especially if they're based off books, So, like when you see a new Christmas Carol movie come out, you don't call it a remake, you call it a readaptation. And a lot of people seem to get that because it's a famous piece of classic literature. These adaptations can be more faithful, maybe because of advancements in technology that wasn't available when the original movie was made, or simply because the screenwriter of the original film had a slightly different vision, which, I would argue was the case for The Shining with Stanley Kubrick. But a readaptation that I really like is the 2005 Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that I have right here. Now, I actually prefer this one to the Gene Wilder film, because, for me, it's because it's more accurate to the book. And now, don't get me wrong, I like the Gene Wilder version. I do. It's just I like this one more. This is the one I also grew up with watching more. And so, but it's a readaptation because it's telling the same story, which is inspired by a book. Now, if it were a remake, it would have had, more of the beats that are in the movie that aren't in the book, like the fizzy lifting drink scene. That argument at the end of the movie where it's argument, I guess. You stole fizzy lifting drinks.
Incendium gloria culpum, etc., etc. Memo bis punitor delicatum. It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
That scene. It would have had stuff like that from the Gene Wilder version, but it didn't because it was adapting off the book. Now, another thing is readaptations can be adaptations of adaptations, which we saw twice in the past couple years, with Matilda and Mean Girls. Now, both of these, by everybody, were called remakes. Both of those are based off books. Mean Girls is like Queen Bees and Prom Queens or something like that. And then Matilda's obviously Matilda. right? But both those books had movies adapted off them, and they also had musicals adapted off them. Now, the Matilda musical, the guy who made that never even saw the movie, so you can't even call it a remake of the original movie, right? So, but anyway, yeah, so both are musicals, right? And people are like, oh, well, that's weird. The new Mean Girls is a musical. Why would they do that? Well, because what they're adapting it off of is a musical. So, but anyway, both times they were confused by the general public as remakes, and people didn't go see them because of that. So, because they thought it was just a cash grab, even though it wasn't. It was just to make these, productions more accessible, really. If the Matilda musical was a remake, it would have had stuff like the chase through the Trunchbull's house, right? So,
Some rats are gonna die today.
now a reboot, which is my second one, is particularly referring to a franchise that it means to like reboot or revive, which is kind of very standard like definition. And the Ghostbusters 2016, I did this perfectly before there. The Ghostbusters 2016 movie, that's a reboot, right? It's a perfect example because it was as intended to restart the series, rekindle the interest of the public. It didn't. And to start the series in a new direction, right? The live action Lion King, for example, is a remake, right? Because it was simply remaking a film beat for beat, right? Only intending on retelling the same story, and that's it, right? So, and then they decided to make a sequel off of it later because I guess it was that successful. So now, I guess it's a reboot. I guess it falls under that then. There's no rules, really. I guess I'm making the rules. It's kind of cool. But I guess it's technically a reboot now. So lastly, I know we didn't spend too much talking about that one, but that's because really it's, very easy definition. But a requel is a sequel that is set in the film series original canon. This one might get a little confusing, so. And it's meant to continue the original story, right? But typically like with fresh new leads, and because they tend to be made years after the original, right? And a lot of times for nostalgia value, right? Now a recent example of this is Ghostbusters Afterlife, right? That picks up 30 years after the first two films, and the protagonists are now kids, right? There's multiple ways to do this. Like you could do it with the Scream route, right? And you could have it, pick up new cast, right? And have the original cast be present throughout the entire film. Or you could have them not be present at all, I guess, and just have it be set in the same canon, right? So then there's the Halloween 2018 route that ignores, which I figured was an appropriate shirt to wear today, that ignores the plethora of sequels, right, and picks up directly after the original 1978 film, even though, with a 30-year time gap, right, 30, 40 years, right? But, yeah. So, a requel tends to be a lot of what we see in terms of sequels. So, the new Beetlejuice, that will be a requel, right? Original cast, original storyline, but it's set way in the future, right? So there's a lot of requels on this show. So that's really all I had to say and kind of wanted to talk about with you guys. I know I spent a lot of time on readaptations and like almost no time on the other two, but that's because readaptations tend to be where I get upset with people, because people don't tend to, understand readaptations. Like the new Christine movie that's supposed to be coming out, that'll be a readaptation, not a remake. you know, because it's good. I'm pretty sure the director of it said that they wanted to, you know, go more faithful to the book, right? Which is great. So I just wanted to clarify this because a lot of people get upset over online about stuff, and frankly, I really like all of these. You know, I went over at the beginning and I said that I love remakes, readaptations, requels, sequels, all of them, right? And because like remakes, they let me see, you know, a movie in a new light, right? Same with reboots, right? And they introduce a new storyline or a new canon to be invested in, like what we could have had with the Child's Play franchise, but ultimately people didn't like it enough, I guess. But you know, readaptations I love even more because I get to see something much closer to the book, or because it usually tends to be a book, you know, version. Or I get to see something completely new, like the story I love turned into a musical, right? And I love music, so that also works great, right? So and then there's requels, which just give me more of the franchises I love, right? And if they don't turn out good, ignore them. They don't have to be part of your own canon. You don't have to watch them, right? So everybody hates that we don't get original movies, right? And yeah, it sucks that a lot of franchise or a lot of studios want to play it safe and stick with their franchises, but I'll take it. You know, if I can get more Ghostbusters, if I can get, you know, more, I don't know, Scream. I'm not too crazy about Scream right now, but you get the idea. If I can get more of the series I love, thumbs up. Go for it. I'll take it. Right? I'm never going to say no. Right? Unless you're Disney. Because Disney, you have no business remaking a movie that came out 8 years ago. Right? Unless it's with that series right there. Back to the Future. We don't do that. But yeah, so I hope you guys understand now the difference, and we can all be a little more civilized online. And I hope this helps, right? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.